Welcome back, everybody. JJ here with Thrivestry, and today we're going to talk about something that was very unique to the Thrivestry programming. That's the front box squat. We've been doing it for a number of years. It's a little bit different than the powerlifting squat, so I wanted to talk about some of the differences today, and also what the benefit is to doing these squats in this manner. So what we've got set up here is just a couple, is two 45-pound plates and 15. I'm about 6'4", but I have a very short inseam, so I actually use a lower box than what most people might imagine. But what we're looking for this one, this is an Olympic style squat, so it's not a wide stance powerlifting squat. It is an Olympic style where we're going more narrow and a little bit more upright torso, and we're going to be doing the front squat. So we have our rack here. We're going to set the plates back 5 to 6 feet. It might go a little bit farther back, but we don't want to have to go too far. Then we're going to unrack the bar, step back, and we're going to find that box with our heels. Make sure we're centered, we know it's there. And then we're going to make sure that we're bracing through the core, everything stays upright. We're going to go down, 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 pause, 3, 2, 1, and then up, right? So if you want to use tempo, you can. It's usually going to be a 3 with a 3 count and then a 1 up, or it could be a 2-second down, 3-second pause, 1 up. Now at the bottom of this squat, the legs are not going to go limp. They're going to go, we're going to keep it at least 50% tension and through the legs, 50 to 100, up to 100. But usually going down to 50 or 80% is going to be fine. But we're going to stay 100% turned on through the core and the trunk. So that's the basics of the front box squat. You'll notice how low the box is. We want it to be far below parallel as long as the mobility is there. If somebody can't go low enough because of mobility issues, what we're going to do is have them use a higher box. And then but with a significant load, a load that's going to be somewhat of a challenge. And then instead of adding weight throughout the focus, we'll have them use the same weight, but maybe we'll go down an inch lower, and while maintaining good form, and then an inch lower. So they're going to work with a weight that's large enough to give them some strength stimulus, but now they're working on range of motion and not just adding more weight to the bar. So in this case, this is about 11 inches. I have this box here. This is a 12-inch box. So you can kind of see the comparisons. It's about 10 to 11 inches. I could probably go with a little bit higher than that. My hips have been kind of tight lately, so I probably shouldn't have picked one that was so low. But that's okay, as long as you can maintain position. Now, the benefit of this is that for a lot of beginners, it breaks the movement up into 2 movements. There's the down portion, and then really the pause, and then the up portion, so it's like 3 movements. For a lot of times when we do the squat, it's really hard to make corrections or changes because you can only fix one thing at a time. By breaking the movement up into 2 separate movements, that allows people to focus on different things. So on the downward portion, they could be thinking about the thoracic, what they're doing with their torso, or they're keeping their abs tight and they're keeping their chest up, and then then they pause. And on the way up, they think, okay, don't tip forward. That's the biggest fault we see, right? We'll see people who come down, and when the weight is too heavy, they'll tip forward to stand up. And the idea is they should actually be able to stand up with no rocking or very, very minimal rocking, only a maximum weight. So then they think about that. And then when they're coming up, they're thinking, okay, what are my knees doing? Am my knees tracking my feet? Am I scooping the hips underneath to stand up instead of letting the butt shoot out? So they can think about different things. So it really helps beginners and intermediates correct the lift. Now the other benefit that a lot of people don't recognize is that this depth is basically the beginning for a lot of people. This is the snatch. It's a little bit low for the clean, but this is kind of the hip position we want to see people in. Maybe a little bit higher up for some people, but if we can generate torque and strength from a dead stop from this position, it's going to make that first pull in the other lifts a lot better. So we see a ton of carryover to snatches and cleans, right? So that's another benefit to the front box squat, because that first pull is more like a squat than it is like a pull, like a deadlift. So that's the other reason why we do it. Some people have asked, why don't we just do pause squats? Pause squats are great. I love pause squats, and obviously this is an extension of that. The problem I've found especially working with more beginners and intermediates, is that the pause squat puts a lot of strain and stress on people that maybe ligaments and joints and things aren't really prepared for that. Pausing for 2 or 3 seconds at the bottom of a deep squat with hundreds of pounds on them can cause a lot of knee issues and back issues, and so this kind of takes some of that stress out of it. So the other thing I like about it too is that it makes the lift harder for all the right reasons. And so by requiring people go far below parallel, kind of like the sticking point where a lot of people get stuck, if they're bottoming out their squat and they come up, that's usually where they lose it. So we're developing that strength through that zone where people usually get stuck. It also makes it harder because we're losing the stretch reflex, so we're going down pausing. So we're going to use a lot less load than we normally would in a front squat. But it's still, you'll still see huge PRs at the end because it's magnifying all the things that make a front squat difficult. So it's really going to help people on their first pull. It's going to help them work on keeping that torso upright the entire time. It enables them to focus on what's going on with their legs, all the good stuff. So that's why we love the front box squat with Thrivestry. Thanks a lot, guys. I'll see you in the next video.